I like to think of smack as this really kind of a short attack thing that really pulls down on the compressor and just really emphasizes that first little bit of transience, because that's the smack, whereas the punch is more, it's kind of a long attack kind of thing, and it's more of the thud. So like they kind of work against each other. You want a smacky, punchy snare, and it's almost like there's two different things. But there's a chance we could do it with the multi-band compressor. But let me see if I can get what my idea of smack would be. So I'm going to rename this instance of Bombardier, and I'm not sure that Bombardier is the compressor to do this with, but I'm going to try it. I'll rename this to smack, so we'll know which one is which. So let me just play the stock, the sound as it was, nothing in it. And it's pretty low, isn't it? Let's see, let me bring that up. There we go. I'm going to hold this down for quite a bit of it. I mean, it'd be easy to say, oh, all you did is you just made the snare shorter or quieter, but which is true. But if I look at the RMS level here, I'm going to bring it back up to there. And you could probably hold it closed a lot longer if you wanted. In fact, let me do that. So here it is with nothing. Oh, and I'm trying an instance of recomp on the talkback mic here. So I'm not sure if that's working. Let me actually look at that. So I'm in OBS. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but let me. Where's my mic? Filters. And so yeah, I'm talking into recomp. So you see it's a ton of compression, but I don't know. Let me know if it works. It works. It's good. Put that back over there. So anyway, here's the stock snare sound. And here's my smack. Now I have the attack set super crazy low. It'd actually be a little bit long. Usually I think a smack is like yeah, man, not too long. 25 milliseconds maybe. Let's just go through the let's go through this and just turn it up a little bit. I'm going to start at 5 milliseconds here. Let's see if you can hear the difference. Now, I don't want Universal Music Group to come and claim that this is my that this is their music again. This is just a snare, but I'm going to say like a good example of smack is the Bangles version of Hazy Shade of Winter. You go listen to that snare and notice, UMG, that I didn't actually play the song, so don't go trying to take this from me again. So here's 5 milliseconds, and again without. You get the RMS level about the same. So really, what I'm trying to get, when I say smack, it's like this tiny little blip that gets by, and then it squishes the snare, and you can kind of feel it ramping back up. That's smack to me. You hear it in there's some on some of the Beastie Boys first album stuff. Like I said, that Hazy Shade of Winter, you really hear it on. I'm trying to think of other good examples. Smack doesn't always work that good for fast stuff, but I'm going to move this back up to 10 milliseconds. Watch how it's a little bit different again. So I'm going to be moving this as we go. And the longer I make this, actually, the more I'm going to have to turn down this compensation. And then, so here's your standard setting, like 25 milliseconds. Let's put it there. And now I'm going to even them out. Okay, and also notice that one of the reasons I turned that compensation down, the gain reduction's going down as I turn the attack up, right? With the RMS set this low 0.1 milliseconds, that's essentially, this is becoming a peak detector instead of a RMS detector. So the more of the, look at a snare drum here. Let's just look at what a snare drum looks like, and this will make a lot more sense. So here's the snare drum. See, most of that energy is at the very beginning. And in fact, if I measure this, what do I have? Do I have this in minutes and seconds? Minutes and seconds, okay. So I'll take a little reading here. Okay, so here's the attack part right here. So that's, this is your 25 milliseconds. So if you set the attack time really long, you're only hearing this part. The compressor's only going to mess with this, so you're not going to see that much gain reduction. So that's really what's going on with this 25 milliseconds. So if I do this again, oh man, now see, I messed up my no. Okay. Let's see if this is right. Okay, so if I make it 25 milliseconds like this, I'm gonna have to yank the threshold down to get that 4 decibels back. Let's see. But again, I don't think. Watch, I'm gonna set this a lot longer. So it's kind of making some smack. If you're to EQ. You could really EQ some smack into there. But this isn't quite what I think of when I think of smack. So I'm going to go back down to, let's just go back down to 5 milliseconds again and see what we get here. I think the release is way too long now. I'm going to put the threshold back up. Let me try something a little bit lower. I'm actually going to go really, really low here. Okay, so here's without. Here's with. So that's pretty much what I think of when I think of smack. You probably have to EQ in some smack here. Maybe a different compressor. Let's just look at how a different compressor would handle this. Good old recomp right here. Even after all those videos and all that stuff going on right now. So I'm going to set about the same. Real short attack. Give that 4 to 1 again. This is just basic. Okay, so you hear what I think of as smack is the, it's that gunshot snare sound. Have you ever fired guns out in the? Yeah, have you ever fired guns before? There's this hellacious first little transient, but your ears like turn it down so fast. It's like this natural compression. It's not going to be any louder than that, and then it comes back. There's like a release time to it. Don't go shooting guns without ear protections, but in general, you know what I'm talking about. You hear that smack, and then it's almost like somebody's holding the volume down on you. Almost like I always think of it like somebody pushing the sound down and then slowly letting go of it. And that's that sound of what happens when you're exposed in real life to really loud transient sounds. And you hear it with smaller fireworks, not the really bassy kind, but like firecrackers and stuff. The same thing will happen. Or go put your ear next to a snare. Not that you ought to do that, but you'll get that same effect. So that's basically what I think of as smack. It's what would happen when you something like a bullet, something really with a ton of transient energy, a lot of sound pressure level SPL, and then your ears come back, and it's the illusion of loudness. Like a lot of times when people use compressors on their mix bus and stuff, they're trying to create that effect. When you're at a really loud concert, your ears are naturally compressing stuff. I mean, it's just the way physiology works. So anyway, that's what I think of as smack. So now the second instance here, I'm going to call punch. So punch. Start with the same kind of basic settings. I'm going to set a much longer attack here, and I could read this different. I'm going to leave this kind of in peak compression mode. That should be fine. But here we go again now. So let me make sure it shouldn't be doing anything at first. Okay, so not doing anything, just like it's supposed to do. Okay. So now I'm gonna set a much longer attack. So let me do something more traditional, something like 40 milliseconds. I mean, this whole beginning's gonna get through, and this seems weird. I wish if somebody can think of one of those compressors that actually shows you a picture of what the compressor is doing to the waveform. I've tried to do it with oscilloscope plugins, and kind of shows, but not really. But really, this what I'm doing here, 250 release, 40 milliseconds on the attack. Think about where you're squishing. Here's the attack is about here, and it's not going to let go till this thing's just about done. Okay, so let me start turning down the threshold. We're going to start seeing some compression. And I guess I should show you on the master bus. Take a look at the RMS level. Okay, I'm going to turn it off. You're not really losing that much RMS. And you're definitely not losing any peak because that attack is so long. Now you see this still has that effect of like when you hear cannons rather than bullets. It's kind of a your ears are still compressing naturally, but it's not really clamping on the transient so much. In fact, we're letting the transient all the way through here. And so this is why I'm saying that smack and punch, they're at war with each other. So it's really hard to get both. But let's think about where that punch is and where that smack is. And I still don't really know how to use this EQ. But this is a dynamic equalizer, so that means you can have a compressor per band. And I'm going to try and find. So another thing about smack. Smack has to do, to me, with more of the super high frequencies of the higher frequencies of the snare, and punch is more the lower mids, or just below that snappy trap part of the sound. In fact, yeah, let's say that the smack is kind of the trap sound, but you can get smack out of toms as well, so it's not quite that. But anyway, I'm going to. I don't know if I should use a band for this or if I should use a shelf. Let's just take a look at this real quick. So what I was playing, this EQ has a really cool solo mode to it. What I was playing, that's what I think of as the smack. So it's on this snare, it's probably someplace above 4K. So let's just let's think about like how we had their smack compressor set, real fast attack, decently fast release. It's not really going to matter because of what we're doing. We're going to use this multi-band compressor here, or dynamic EQ. I mean, I know they're different, but to me they do the same thing. So anyway, so I'm gonna what did I do? I press A to solo this. I really don't know the EQ yet. Okay. Whoa! I just messed up something in Reaper. I just passed a command through which I didn't want to do. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how to hold it in solo mode. Like, do I just have to keep holding this A down or what? Oh, right here. Just press the button. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to hit this power button. It's going to turn it into a multi-band compressor. Or it's going to turn that EQ band into a dynamic band. And probably I should be using a band for this instead of a high shelf, but whatever. Let's see how this works. So I'm going to set. Actually, I could go really high on this if I wanted. Attack. Yeah, see, it's already got a short attack. I'm going to start pulling this threshold down until it still starts doing something. Okay, so with it and without. So here's without. This is just soloing that band. And here's with the compressor. I don't know what this auto. Oh, okay, so that turns into like a DVX. Ah, so they do have an auto makeup. So, but before I turn it back up, let's think about what it's doing. I'm not really sure how much gain reduction we're getting here. I mean, it looks like we're getting 10 decibels or something crazy. But listen to what's happening with it. So if I turn it off, or no, where did it? Snap, right? Snap. So if I was describing this, when I turn it on, snap, smack. You can hear it kind of going for a while. It makes it sound longer, even though it's turning it down. But let me see. I'm not sure how this is going to work. I'm just going to click this button. Oh, no, that's totally not what I want. I'll just use the gain knob right here to bring it back to 0. Okay, so when I bring it back up to the normal level, all it really is doing is it's kind of making that longer, that smack. And chances are, like I said, I shouldn't probably not have used the band. I probably shouldn't use the high shelf. I probably should have used the band. But I'm going to pull the frequency that it's acting on a little bit lower. See, now I'm getting into that where I call it the punch. So let me. Okay, so now I'm going to take this out of solo mode, and let's listen to it with it and without. Oops. Okay, so I want to bypass this band, or how do I do that? Okay, so here's normal. Here's without that EQ in. Here's with it. So I could have just EQ'd some more high into it, but that's a different thing. I'm changing the time that this stuff happens. That's really what's going on here with this little smack knob here. So let's I'm gonna look at the punch in a second here, and we're gonna put them together. But just listen to this for a second more. Okay, so I'm gonna turn that one off for a second. This one's gonna be my punch. So let's look for where this should be. I mean, sometimes it's really up in the smack territory, but in fact, you know, it's almost like this should be. Let me get rid of this EQ. It's almost like it should be this guy, and just pretty much all the way up to where the other one ends. You know, I'm not sure if there's a good facility for that, but yeah. See this right here? This 200 hertz. That's that meat of the snare, and definitely gonna want that to go through. But let me see what happens here. This may not be a good idea here, but let me just take a look. Oh boy, how do I get back to that other band? Can I remove this band? Okay, okay, here it is. So it's gonna be around here someplace. All right, so let's just see what we can get. So we got the smack. Now I want to get the punch through here. And that's going to be, I mean, I really could center it on that 200. But I'm going to be doing a low shelf here just because it's almost like we have a two-band EQ, two-band multi-band compressor thingy going. Okay. So I don't know that you can set different attack and release. Let me check that. Yep. Okay, good. Oh, this is an awesome plugin. I think it's $30 American. Okay, so I'm going to set a very long, because I'm doing just the lower part of this, I can set a much longer attack than I normally would. And so we're just going to let that thump all the way through without messing with anything. And then, you know, this can kind of go anywhere because we don't, I mean, we want it gone. We want the release all the way over by the time the next snare hit comes, unless it's a roll or something. But it's not super critical to me when it ends. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to get a bunch of crap for that, but whatever. And again, I'm just going to give it 4-to-1 ratio. And so you're starting to hear that. In fact, I will bypass this. Now, you should be hearing a little bit more now. As soon as this goes on, and I'll play them back and forth to compare, you should be hearing a little bit more of that that natural, what sounds like the natural compression is definitely not natural here, but what sounds like natural compression when the just like having a cannon fire near you, or if Gallagher came up and hammered a watermelon right in front of your face, like the same thing would happen. Just that low frequency that causes a compression. Yeah, you hear it in trucks, mini trucks or whatever when they're driving by. So here we go. But you notice it's also way thinner, right? And that's because we have to do this makeup gain here. So we're gonna do that. See, I'm not sure this auto makeup, it really seems to do something goofier. In fact, let me turn it on. Yeah, see, it's doing something to the other band. I don't want it doing that. So I'll just turn this up. Okay, and I'm gonna try and adjust the levels here so that in and bypass are going to be hopefully around the same-ish level. And again, I may not have these quite right. I'm just looking at these meters to see if I'm turning it up where it was. And yeah, how do you do this? Okay, so to me, that is getting smack and punch at the same time. So if I go back to just one of these compressors, yeah, it's giving me the smack, but it's eating the punch. And here's the punch. So it's punchy, but it's not too smacky. And to me, this is kind of more what I'm looking for. And if I were to put in something like Audio Assault's Exciter, for instance, or any kind of Mutt Lang plug in here, it could be Exciter, probably could be another EQ. I mean, I'm sure I could actually do it in this EQ, but let me just show you because I put this compressor in. So I could make it ridiculously aggressive that way. And really, if you want to do that kind of the 80s thing, especially after that thump, I'm not sure if this one will do it. You could probably do it with an EQ, but let's just take a look and see if we can excite this into... So if you really want to make like that 80s snare with the tons and tons and tons of low end, now you've kind of got the shape to do it now. For instance, so I'm gonna put the EQ after this, and then I'm gonna reshape it. I'm really not sure how this one works, but again, new plugin I'm not too familiar with. So you can get somewhere between the early AC/DC and just plain 80s snare with that tons and tons of low end. And from here you could go and put a that would be a good one. It's safe to use here. I have that waves thing. H reverb. I mean, let's see if here. Gated reverb. It doesn't sound much like a gated reverb still. And I mean, nobody's really got good gated reverbs as far as I can tell. Let me just get it smacky. How do I get rid of... Go away. I don't want you. Go away. How do I turn you off? I don't want you either. Oh, man. How do I get rid of you? Yeah. Control, click. No, I don't want you. Okay, so we're... Is that the detector? I don't know. This is gate output. I'm hoping it still takes this from the key from the input though. Otherwise, this would be kind of lame. Let me try gating the input. No. Well, I really hope this doesn't take the detector from the output. I suppose I could side chain it. Okay, whatever. How do I change the attack and release? Oh, it's got a hold control. That is cool. All right. Anybody who's making reverbs and stuff or compressors, hold controls on compressors are awesome things. Don't seem like I'm not able to change this time here. Okay, I type it in. I want to put my own hold in. Okay, good. Then I'm going to shut it really fast. So anyway, I was just showing, like, if you want to do like the gated thing, or if you wanted to run pink noise or whatever, when you do the punchy kind of compressor, in fact, I mean, I'm just going to put the punch one on here. Yeah, it might be hard to hear on small speakers, whatever, but punch settings tend to let you EQ in lows way easier than if you don't have them. I mean, you kind of just end up with a muddy mess without that. So, but with a set like this, it's letting the beginning through, and it's just cranking down on it after that. I mean, in fact, let's look at the graphical view of this again. So after that first 40 milliseconds, it's going to start squeezing down. So it just takes EQ better. So yeah, if you are doing things like pink noise tricks or gated reverb or whatever. How do you... See, that Type A will really give you that smack. That's kind of crazy. It's not going to be quite as aggressive as the Audio Assault one, though. It's just this Exciter from Audio Assault just sounds angry. But really, this Type A really captures the Mutt Lang thing. So if I went to the vocal trick here. I mean, and here you go. Manufacturers, like, seriously. Okay, hold on. I know everything's got to be all vintage modeled, blah, blah, blah. I don't need that. I don't need the noise. I don't really. Like, people are nostalgic for this kind of crap, like, because they didn't have to go through it. And this sucked getting noise. You really think you can add something with this stupid noise? I mean, come on. That's really when you see all these bedroom guys talking. And it, like, again, just like on episode 5, we're ranting about, you know, people on forums and stuff, you know, pretending to know things and attacking people based on it. You know, the noobs, and they're like, oh, yeah, you know, there's this magical groove that if you edit the drums at all, it'll completely destroy. And I'm like, you know what? Find me an album where you hear that. There are a few, but they're very few and far between. Almost every single one's going to sound better with the stuff in time rather than all over the place. Anyway, let me put this in context now. Let's just see what we're getting. I'm not sure what all I have soloed and messed up here, but it's not a bad snare by itself, right? But here's so you want to hear the way like the DBXs used to do things. Here's Major Tom, which is very much a 160, and really this was the sound of especially demos, like not just demos. I mean, we'd use these on a lot of stuff, but if you wanted to work fast, it's Major Tom. Just like this 160. Watch what it does. It really is kind of the smack and the punch all by itself. You hear that? But anyway, so I'm going to put this back on. It gets real thin on those rolls, huh? We're going to do something about that. There's a roll. Good. There's much better. Some Bombadil and see what we get.
see, here's the problem with using compressors. You're getting that dynamic inversion. So after these toms, it actually sounds smaller when the snare comes in. And something else goofy about the timing. That's something else, though. I bet you. So that's, to me, that's the difference between smack and punch, and way you can actually treat it. So you can, I don't think with today's technology you have to pick between smack and punch. I mean, you could, of course, any time you could have split the signal and put them on two different compressors or whatever, but a multi-band compressor seems to be able to let me make the length of smack that I want, and let me treat the punch part that I want. Again, I would probably do that in bands rather than where is that thing? I'll show you. Most likely, I wouldn't use these the shelves to do it. I'd probably just use these in band mode. Is there a way to change these? Low shelf A, high pass, low pass. Let's see. No, I don't want a band pass. I just want a peaking. There we go. Oh, and now I don't remember. What was it? Was it the was the peaking the non what was it called? The decramped one had to be peak, right? Because they don't really have another. Yeah. Okay. So I guess this one's decramped when you're in peak mode. So I would probably use this. I'd probably find the low end, which was around 200 something. In fact, let me just play this again. So I might just use this right here. This yeah, listen to that. Ooh. And this too. I'd just find a smacky part for this. I mean, I might make that wider, but anyway, so that's how I would do smack and punch.